Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you've had a wonderful week. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here live on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live, welcome back. For those of you who are watching the replay, on YouTube on Dr. Nikisha Hammond. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe. And for those of you who are brand new to Mental Health Moment, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. Thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your Mental Health Moment. Good evening from San Francisco. Welcome, welcome. Hi, thanks for joining here. I am in the state where I reside today, which is Florida. Tampa Bay area of Florida. So let me know in the chat here where you're tuning in from. Hi, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Welcome. Thanks so much. And for those of you just tuning in, so if you're brand new to Mental Health Moment, the whole month of February, we have been talking about self-love and positive self-talk, right? Because a lot of times we are all guilty of it, but we get caught up with our negative self-talk, which really does not help in our journey of self-love. But we're all guilty of it. So I'm going to give you some more strategies and tips today as well. And thanks so much again for joining here. Hi from Rosenberg, Texas. Welcome. Georgia's in the house. Indianapolis, Indiana. Australia's in the house. Atlanta, Georgia's here. Well, a lot of people from Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, a couple people from Atlanta, Georgia. Frisco, Texas. So welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And if you have missed any of February's self-love and positive self-talk, you can always catch the replays again on YouTube. But last week we had started talking about, which I told you I would continue this week, but we had started talking about when we think about self-love, when we think about self-talk, this idea that some of us are more of an internalizer versus externalizer. So I wanted to sort of break that down to you, and there's no right or wrong for how you process information and emotions. There's no right or wrong. We're just all wired differently, and that's okay. And thanks to those who are still starting to tune in here. Phoenix, Arizona is in the house. New Jersey, Dallas, Texas, Kentucky, North Carolina, Mississippi, Virginia, Syracuse, New York, Birmingham, Alabama. So welcome, welcome. And thanks again for those who are starting to join here. So really, and you can think about yourself, again, not a right or wrong, who you are, right? Because that's one of the things about mental health moment. We're learning about who we are, and we're learning on how do we become the best version of who we are, so we can show up for ourselves and show up best for those around us. So one of the things to think about is if you're an internalizer versus an externalizer, then all that means is sometimes we take our emotions and we tend to internalize it, meaning your self-talk might be, okay, I did something wrong. You're criticizing yourself. It might lead to some depression. It might lead to some anxiety, because a lot of what you're experiencing, you internalize it to be about who you are, right? Internalizing that information or internalizing that event, right? And sometimes, and especially kids too, actually, we're very guilty of it as well. So it's all throughout our lifespan where we take things that happen and tell ourselves, blame ourselves, or have shame, or have regret, or all these things start to happen to us, and we internalize that event, right? And again, no right or wrong. Some of you might be externalizers. So some of you might be like, I'm good, but you tend to think like, it's because of someone else that did it. It's because of the supervisor that did it. It's because of your mother, brother, sister, friend, or whoever else that did this particular thing. And you may externalize your reaction. So your behavior might be to lash out at someone. It might be verbally, it might be physically, but you kind of externalize, your emotions go more outward versus more inward. So that's basically the difference. We had talked a little bit about that. Good night and welcome to you as well. But we had talked a little bit about that last week. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up, you all, because one huge component of self-love, if you don't remember anything from this whole entire month, one huge component of self-love that is absolutely critical and necessary for you to have is forgiveness of yourself. Okay, so someone put that in the chat here. Forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. So important. And when we think of forgiving, a lot of times we're thinking about forgiving other people, which is important too. But for this month, I want us to focus on, I want you to focus on when you think about self love, when you think about the positive self talk, forgiveness of yourself. Because shame and blame and self criticism and negative self talk and telling yourself you're not worthy or you're not enough or you're not this or you're not that, you're not good enough. All those things do not contribute to helping you become the best version of who you are. Are they normal thoughts? Absolutely. All of us have these thoughts, myself included, right? But on your journey, and but a lot of you all are putting it in the chat, exactly, forgiveness of yourself on your journey, I want you to think about working on how can I forgive myself? I know this cliche to say, you all, but all of us know at the end of the day, we cannot turn back the hands of time. We cannot turn back the hands of time. I'm not saying that whatever may have happened to you or for you or whatever it is that happened in your life necessarily was easy. It's a journey for self forgiveness, but that's one of the ways for you to work on your own peace of mind, right? As we continue this, we all continue this journey into self love. Someone said forgiveness of yourself. Absolutely. So the reason why it's also so important for you to have forgiveness of yourself is because one of the things when it comes to negative self-talk is for you to work on accepting who you are. That way, not saying it's easy. Once again, these are not the easiest tips in the world, but that way, when those negative thoughts come about, but you have worked on forgiving yourself, when you've worked on your self love, when you've worked on accepting who you are for where you're at, wherever you're at right now in your life, it can really help your self talk journey as well. Yeah, forgiveness of yourself. So I want you again, when you think about, what can I work on this upcoming week? Forgiveness of yourself. Now, for some of you, because we are all at different places in our wellness journeys, and I always remind you all, for some of you, these tips on mental health moment, hopefully you're taking notes. I know some of you take notes here because you've told me are just good tools in your toolbox. But for some of you, you may be like, you know what? It's not enough. Like the pain, like the negative self-talk is so painful. I can't handle it. Right. So you have to know for yourself, is this something you can do these at home strategies and work on these things on your own? Or do you need a friend? Do you need a family member? Do you need a trusted person? If it's a spiritual leader, whomever it is for you, that you can have some accountability with, right? An accountability partner to work on this journey, someone you trust, or do you need a mental health professional to help you get through whatever it is for you that's your mental block when it comes to self love and self talk? And only you can answer these questions, but these are questions I want you to be asking yourself in this journey. It is absolutely doable. I've met, as a psychologist, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. At this point, I'm honored to hear thousands and thousands of stories of people who are resilient, who get through a lot of trauma, a lot of things that happen to them or for them, right? Learning on the journey of self forgiveness. However, sometimes, like I said, it takes someone outside of you. You may do it on your own, or it may take a trusted person or a mental health professional or a combination of those things, and that's okay. And hi, welcome, welcome. Someone said self acceptance. Absolutely. And it is a journey for that, right? So some of you may have known, and I've shared this before with you, that I am extremely grateful, like a ton of spiritual growth over the past couple of years for me. So I am personally and professionally grateful for that growth. But at the same time, this is a lifelong process, you all. This is a lifelong. So don't, I, yes, it's okay to have goals. Yes, we should make our daily goals or weekly, monthly, yearly goals, all those great things. But also know becoming the best version of who you are is a lifelong process, right? So who you were today, who you were 10 years from now, who you'll be 10 years from today, or 10 years ago and 10 years from now, maybe a completely different person, and that's okay. That's what growth comes in. Yep, someone said, right, a combination of all those tools. Absolutely. And good evening to you as well. Welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here. For those of you who are just tuning in, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment today. Again, with the month of February, we're continuing to talk about this journey of self-love. Specifically today, more about forgiveness of yourself. How can you work on these things? How can you better yourself, especially when it comes to your self talk? Right. And one of the things that can be really helpful for you, one tip I have for you today that can be really helpful for you when it comes to the negative self talk. We talked about last week being aware of those thoughts, first of all, trying your best to change some of those thoughts or almost disputing those thoughts with yourself, which is not the easiest thing to do. It takes practice, you all. Um, but another piece of that is inserting. I know many of you do it because you've told me before. Many of you have talked about your mindfulness practices. So whatever it is that you do, whether it's some of you said you walk, you're a walker. Whether it's taking the time in nature, I love nature, as many of you know. Whether it's exercise, whether it's drawing, whether it's painting, whether it's gardening, whatever it is that you like to do that brings you joy and you can work on being in the present moment and having that peace of mind in those moments as well. You can really take the time to practice uh, being aware of your thoughts and how you can replace them with more positive thoughts, right? But let me give you an example because a lot of people think, let's say you have a negative thought about yourself. I'm not worthy enough or I'm not enough. And then you say, oh, yes, I am. I'm enough, right? You all know. A part of people like a part of your brain is going to be like, no, that's not true because you really don't think that, right? So you're going to have that battle, that inner dialogue in your brain that's going to try to fight you. But the good news is it does take time, but after a while you have to remind yourself. That's why I've been talking to you today about self-forgiveness. When you're forgiving yourself of things, when you're accepting yourself for who you are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter so much some of the things from the past when you work on forgiving yourself, when you work on accepting yourself, right? Someone said repeat positive thoughts when you have negative thoughts. Absolutely. Which again, you all is tricky to do because your brain is going to fight back. But if you keep in mind that you're going to have that reaction, after a while, you will learn how to change these negative thoughts into more positive things about you. When your brain tells you, I can't believe you did that, or the blame, the shame, all these sorts of things, but you remember how amazing you are. We all have our flaws, you all, every single one of us, myself included, we all have our flaws. None of us are perfect. However, you're a great human being. What is great about you? What is amazing about you? When you start to think about and focus on those things about you, right? And replacing those types of thoughts, that's when you really start to continue to work on your healing journey, and work on that self-love and work on that positive self-thought, positive self-talk. Um, yep. Someone said self-reassurance. Absolutely. Self-reassurance. And that is a process. That is a process. It's not overnight. As I said, I wish you all that the things that I taught you, you could just implement right away. And the next day, next week, you'd magically be different. We all know, however old you are, maybe it took decades or however long to be the person you are today. So for you to make this drastic change, all of us are at different places. It's not overnight. It's not just do this for a week or 2 weeks. It's start to implement these things into your life. Um, but it can happen for you. The self love can happen again. And before I wrap this up today, I also want to remind you, not only that, but once you start to work on your self love, you start to work on this journey, you start to work on the more positive thoughts for yourself and the forgiveness, life happens. So there will be something else that occurs in your life, a disruption. We all have them. We all have the unexpected things that happen to us. Be prepared though. There might be the bump in the road where you kind of lose a couple notches, if you will, with your progress or your growth, but that is okay. When you understand, you know what? Oops, went back a couple steps. It's okay because you can keep going, right? If you are running a race, let's say you were running a race, okay? This is not a race. Life is not a race, but I'm just giving you this analogy. You are running a race and you drop something in the race. Whatever it is that you may be holding in your hand, you drop something and you looked back. You said, "Oh shoot," and you went back to get what you dropped. guess what? The finish line is still there, right? You're not, you can still keep going, right? You go back. That's what happens when it comes to self-talk. That's what happens when it comes to self-love. Something happens, we have to go back a little bit. You deal with that, it's okay, and then you keep going. Okay, so I want to encourage you today, keep going, keep growing. You all know that's my slogan and my motto, to keep going and keep growing, and know that the bumps will come, and not forget the progress that you made, though, right? Because you have made progress. So celebrate those things as well. You're absolutely right. Someone said, make it a daily habit to reinforce positive ideas, thoughts, and emotions. Absolutely, you all. Absolutely. Make it a daily habit. And again, you all know where you're at. And if you don't know where you're at, because some of you may be like, I'm lost, I don't know where I'm at. Take the time, you know, be still with yourself as much as possible. Quiet your mind as much as possible. I know it's hard. We're all inundated with a lot of information, especially these days. It seems like with social media and traditional media and people, things happening around us. But when you take the time to find the quiet time, you can start to really get to know yourself better, and understand where you're at in this journey. And some of you are way ahead. Like, again, it's not a race, right? It's not a race. But if it was a race, near the finish line of where you want to be at this stage, some of you are right there. Like, you're right by the finish line. And some of you are at the starting line. And that's okay. It doesn't matter where you're at, right? We just have to start or continue on this journey. Someone said, yes, speak the truth. Absolutely. Someone said, part of growing is to become your best person. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, for you to think about, how do I become the best person? One of the things is you have to gain more self-awareness, right? So on this journey of self-love, on this journey of positive self-talk, you have to really become more and more aware of who you are, right? Because who you are today is not who you were 10 years ago or 10 years before that. We change, right? And just as how, let's say you were dating someone, right? If you were dating someone brand new right now, how would you get to know them, right? How would you get to know someone that you just started dating? You would spend time with them, right? You would literally spend time with this person, understand them, learn about them. It's the same thing that we have to do with ourselves. It's to spend time, especially the quiet time, you all. So I know it's hard sometimes, and some of you are thinking, I don't have time for meditation. I don't have time for all this quiet time or whatnot. But even in the spaces where there may be noise. So, for example, let's say you're driving in a car. If you happen to be a driver, you drive in a car, maybe, and you're by yourself, maybe not turning on the radio or playing whatever it is you're playing. If you're an audiobook person or whatever it is that you're normally playing in the car, maybe turning all that off. I do that. I do this a lot as well. And having that quiet time on a car ride, right? If you can't implement the meditation time, or if you can't implement the walks in nature, or whatever else it is for you where you can find that quiet space, try to create times that you already spend, right, doing these things without sound, without things going on around you. And that is a way that you're going to get to know yourself better, reflecting on who you are, gaining acceptance for who you are in this journey of self-love. Someone said, make time for that quiet time. Yes, I do this as well. Wonderful. And it is life changing, you all. And I will tell you all again for the 15th time, if you're not new to mental health moment, you know my story. I really used to struggle with self care. I really used to struggle with finding the quiet time. I did. I would go 100 miles an hour. Like, that is, and it's, I mean, it's still my personality a little bit to do a lot of things. However, the difference is now that I've taken the time to make sure to have the quiet time, to find the calmer spaces and a lot of chaos sometimes, right? Because it's so important for mental health, because it's so important for self-care, because it's so important for self-love, right? Those things are very important. We have to be taking care of ourselves. Yep, you're welcome. Thank you for this moment. It helped me to reinforce my purpose. Beautiful, wonderful. Purpose is so important. Beautiful. Someone said, just as we find time to learn who we are, and think of the time you listen to the lives of the stars. I try dating myself at least once a week. Beautiful, wonderful. And that's a wonderful thing, because we are with our thoughts all the time, right? Which is why it's so important when you really start to recognize how you're talking to yourself, the things you're saying about yourself to yourself. Recognize, and I think I saw this meme the other day, which I loved. When I saw this meme, it said, your thoughts are only your thoughts, meaning your thoughts don't even have to be reality sometimes. If you told yourself, man, I'm such a horrible person because XYZ, that doesn't even make it true. That's a thought that you had that you told yourself. You listen. Oh, I wish you had more time for this mental health moment. There are things you can literally go through your whole day and tell yourself so many negative, untrue things about you. Like your thoughts could do that. If you are in a space sometimes when you are just spiraling, you're depressed or you're anxious or whatever it is you're going through, you can literally take the whole entire day, tell yourself, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did that. Why am I so this? Why am I so that? I'm not worthy. I'm not all these negative things. And none of it is true about you. Like that is the reality of our thoughts sometimes. Our thoughts are only our thoughts. Okay. Yes. Someone said, stop beating up on you. Yes. Stop. And I know I don't want to say this to minimize anything. Like it's a serious thing. And again, guilty. I used to really have a lot of self-criticism, really strong self-criticism until I had to work on that and work on getting out of that mindset because it's all about a mindset shift. Yep, yes, someone's put in the comments there. Thank you for putting that in the comments. Your thoughts are your thoughts, you all. Your thoughts are only your thoughts. Just because you think something about yourself, just because you say something to yourself does not make it true. It doesn't. And the quicker your brain like really understands it, like I'm saying this to you now, you're like, oh no. Your brain might be like, yeah, whatever, like your brain starts to question a lot of things. But the quicker that you're like it really clicks for you that your thoughts are only your thoughts, the better it will be for you as you move into this journey of self-love and positive self-talk. The like when you really get that concept, like your thoughts are just your thoughts, doesn't mean anything. We tell ourselves so many irrational things all day long. And oh man, I think this could happen. I think this, you could be wrong. And most times, a lot like I forgot what the study I just saw the other day about anxiety. The vast majority of what you think could happen, it could go wrong. Like I don't want to say it's something ridiculous, like 90% of it will never even happen. Right. But those are the types of thoughts, like those are the type of thoughts that we're fighting against sometimes. They most of what you're thinking about that, oh, it's something bad gonna happen. It's not. It just it doesn't happen. And also, most of what you're thinking about that is negative about you is not even true. It's not true. It's how our brains are wired sometimes. Okay, so again, as I close here on today's mental health moment, yep, someone said, sometimes I ask myself, what have you done for you lately? I love that. Yes, when we take this mental shift, you all, into knowing, right, accepting who we are for where we're at in today, right? Because what we have is today, the present. And we work on the self-love and we work on the positive self-talk, we start to have a very different life and very different perspective on who we are. And because of all that, we can continue the work of being the best versions of who we are, for again to show up for ourselves and to show up for those around us. Yep, someone says sometimes I'm my worst critic. Yes, we are. We absolutely are. And it's okay. So again, so as a reminder for this mental health moment, I don't want you to take this information though and be blaming yourself, right? That completely defeats the purpose of this whole mental health moment. So don't take this to blame yourself, but again, take this information to be like, how can I improve? Right? How can I improve this? How can I be better? How can I grow as a person? That is what mental health moment is all about. It's never about shame, about blame. I can't believe I do this. I can't believe I do that. Nope, we're not doing that here, right? This is a safe space. This is a no judgment zone. So instead, take this information and think about, how can I grow as a person? How can I grow in my healing process towards the self loves, toward the positive self talk, and then see how your life changes. Um, you're welcome. So for those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, or even if you're not new, you can always reach me, drnikishahammond.com. If you need any resources related to mental health, I will be posting soon an event that I'll be speaking at. If you're in the Ocala, Florida area, I'll be posting that information on drnikishahammond.com soon. It'll be in March. I'll be the keynote for a conference on early childhood education. So I'll be putting that information up there. But if you need me again for any mental health resources, you can always reach out on drnikishahammond.com. Yep, someone said we also need to give ourselves time to sleep, rest, and be positive. Beautiful. I love it. And again, if you missed any mental health moments for this month, this month has been about self talk, positive self talk, and self love. You can always catch the replay on YouTube, or you can reach out on any social media platform as well. I'd love to connect. I'm usually posting inspirational things because, again, I love doing mental health moment for each and every one of you because it's so important for us to stay uplifted. So most of my content online is usually something uplifting because we need to stay in that energy, in that space for us to all become right the best versions of who we are, to show up for ourselves and for those around us. Have a wonderful evening to you as well. Thanks so much again for tuning in. I will be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Have an amazing week. Take care of yourself. Tell yourself positive things about yourself that are true, so we can work on combating the negativity, the negative thoughts, and working on being the best versions of ourselves. So I'll see you all next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And take care of yourselves, y'all. Bye, y'all.